designer, Jonathan Ive, came up with the iMac, which was the first one that started to make a profit. And then slowly, Apple started to be a successful company. And it was still a minority interest. It was like, everybody has PCs, but some slightly wanky, arty people have Apples. And then the iPod appeared, and people said, yeah, but I mean, you know, there already exist MP3 players. What's so new about the iPod? What was new about it was that it was rather beautiful, and it worked very easily and very simply, and people liked it. And then a year or so after that, iTunes appeared, and Apple didn't want, they wanted the music all not to be copyright protected, but they couldn't get the permission of the record labels to have the music in iTunes for you to download unless it was locked. DRM is the phrase, as you probably know. And people started to think, well, that's a bit unpleasant, and they blamed Apple for it. And then Apple started to produce other things, and of course eventually the iPhone. By the time the iPhone and then the iPad came out, they were so successful, they had overtaken every competitor and became the biggest player in the digital scene. Now, it is not surprising that from having been the victim and the minority company to becoming the majority company, they're going to get a lot of stick and a lot of flack. It's also not surprising that they're going to start doing a lot of clumsy and stupid things. Giants are very clumsy. They can tread on things, and they can do things that make you think that they're suddenly the bad guys. Now, it may be that the time has come where people think Apple is now a villain, that they're now a suited company. I think most of the staff of Apple, most of the people who run it, most of the people who work there are smart enough and dedicated enough to be able to show that all they actually care about is making fantastic stuff that makes people very excited, and that they're not villains and corporate monsters who are determined only to make a profit and only to swallow up the world in their closed ecosystem. But there are lots of Apple haters in the world, and that's a rather peculiar thing, because people who love Apple don't hate anything else. If you like your iPhone, you don't waste any time caring about a BlackBerry or an Android. You're just not interested. Why should you care? I'm very happy if people like their Androids or their BlackBerries. We're very pleased for them. But we're not going to write essays about how crap their choice is. On the other hand, if you have an Android or a BlackBerry, you are obsessed with Apple. It's not enough that you don't have an Apple product. You have to waste your time boring the world with how you've seen through Apple. How everybody who owns Apple is a poser and a wanker. It's very silly, and it has to stop. It's tribal and it's childish.